Hello, chart watchers and DecisionPoint faithful. Welcome to this Monday, May 10th, 2021 episode of DecisionPoint. I'm here with my father, Carl Swenlin, and it's our job to show you the charts we think you need to see going into this trading week. So how is everything going at the start of this trading week for you, Dad?
So far, so good.
Yes. I'm pretty pleased. Sector rotation is helping my portfolio out, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. But we'll see how that progresses as we go into the week. All right. Well, let's see. What do we have on our schedule today? We're going to start off. Carl's going to do his grab bag. He has a couple of interesting tidbits he'd like to share, and then he will go into the overview of the SPY, SPX, and all of our indicators that are up to date currently. Then I'm going to go ahead and we'll look at natural gas. I know it's become a weekly thing now that I look at natural gas and gold miners, but lots going on in these areas of the market. So I definitely want to cover that. Additionally, we did see a lot of the energy stocks pull back just a little bit today. We didn't get a lot of these big moves to the upside on a lot of them. And so I think that it's offering us some really excellent opportunities out there in that energy sector space. So I'm going to review 4 of the diamonds that I did last week for my diamond subscribers, and I'll show you why they might be good pickups right now, even though some of them are up since we did present them as diamonds last week. And then finally, I will finish with the diamond of the week. And honestly, I would say the 4 that I'm going to cover, the energy stocks, will really turn out to be the diamonds of the week. I think they look pretty good going into this week and in the future. But let's go ahead and look at what else we're going to do here. First, I did want to mention that we are running a special. And for all of those who read our free blogs and those who go to the free trading rooms. And of course, if you're watching right now on the DecisionPoint show, if you use the coupon code SAVE50, you will get 50% off your first month. And you can get that with just one of our reports, both of our reports. We offer that up, and you'll get a chance to try us out for a full month at half price. And then you can decide if our service is for you. All right, so at this point, not much more to say. We do have the same sector scoreboard at this point, but I'm going to just go ahead and move us over here. So I'm going to pass it to you, Dad, and then I will mark up my UNG chart, and we'll talk about that when you're done.
Okie doke. One of the things I wanted to cover immediately, because it's so important, is that Elon Musk was on Saturday Night Live, and the question of is it Dogecoin or Doggycoin was answered. He and his mother both call it Dogecoin. So remember when they decided that Pluto wasn't a planet? Well, they had somebody came out with a saying, Pluto, you'll always be a planet to me. Well, Dogecoin, you'll always be Doggycoin to me. Yes. Okay, moving on. We've got a new ETF to add to the ETF tracker. It's the SPAC and new issue ETF. SPACs, to review for those who don't remember, like I do all the time, it's a special purpose acquisition company. And so this is not a recommendation. We just put it in there because it's something different that may, perform differently than the other ETFs in that group. There was I understand that, let's see, it's SPCE. That's the Virgin Galactic Holdings, and I understand that was a SPAC, and that gives you. When I looked this up, I looked at the chart and I thought this is a good time to point something out. You know, this got a lot of volatility here, and the crossovers of the 2050 EMA, they don't do so well in picking tops and bottoms, and they're way behind because they move too fast. But one thing I did notice is that, let me just put the inspect bar on here, is that when the PMO tops, you get a little bit of warning. You don't, not going to pick an exact top with this kind of movement, but if you look at the, you're going to dodge some of it if you use that as a way to get out. And it's not guaranteed, but it's a good way to, have some idea of using something to clue you when to move out of these things.
I'm looking at that chart too, and that 50 and 200 are about ready to give us that death cross.
Right. In fact, they have. It has a death cross. The 50 is only 26. The 200 is at 27. So. Okay. Another news item worth covering is the Colonial Pipeline hack, which has really gotten everybody upset. I looked, I thought it might affect the stock, but it's a privately held company. Did it affect the other pipeline companies? No, they're doing fine. They're making new highs. They're doing really great. No telling how long that will last. But it's just that for whatever reason, nobody's afraid of those other pipelines getting hacked. Okay, let me go on and to the, one more thing before I go to the recap. Today, tech really took a beating, and the big tech, and you can see in the thumbnail here that they had not a good, it was 2.3% down. This is for the the NASDAQ 100. And this is kind of an I told you so. We've been talking about these divergences while this going into a new all-time high. It was basically a double top. But notice we had all these divergences. And when you see something like that, you just have to, duck and cover. I mean, you got to be prepared to. And I don't know if this is the end of it, but I really doubt it, because there's such a huge divergence here between these two tops. So, moving along. Okay. The S&P today was almost made a new all-time high, but it didn't. And it closed down about 1%. We have the PMO crossover happened last week. Volume today expanded on a down day, so that's bearish. We hit the lower VIX, the Bollinger Band on the inverted VIX scale, and that's, with it being so close together, I would put a lot of significance to it, but it tends to be an oversold reading, and so we could kind of prepare for a bounce. Expanded new highs today. Remember that this is an intraday reading. Any of the stocks that made an intraday new high will register on this scale. This, even though it's a down day, we'll get to the climax reading shortly, which will, yeah, we have done that. We don't have climax readings anywhere else except on new highs. So I would not consider this a climax day.
Agreed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
short-term indicators. The STO breadth and STO volume, not particularly spiking, but they didn't go down today.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. We've got a divergence here on the stocks of whether 20 and percent of PMOs rising, but it's not significant. Golden Cross and Silver Cross index. Silver Cross is turning down, and it's had about a week, at least a week of topping out. Nothing severe yet. See, it's at 90. It's the Silver Cross is at 90. Golden Cross is at 97. So
yeah, I do have to mention, because I look at that Golden Cross every day, that actually has turned lower. It was for over a week at 97.4. I mean, that's a huge percentage, but it has turned down.
right, okay, and we can put the thumbnail up.
There you go.
There you go. And
yeah, generally a top on that one isn't good.
I'm sorry?
Generally a top on the Golden Cross doesn't pan out well for the market.
No, it's not a good thing, although you can get, some wobbling up there in that high area. But with the Silver Cross being so high, it's just overbought. It's terribly overbought. And with the big tech stocks, as weak as they are, it's not good. Again, nothing much to see here. We did have a negative divergence on the volume, and the PMOs PMO buy signals is still not updated for today. Let's go to, let's see, Bitcoin. See what that was down today. Dogecoin was down. It actually was down ahead of Elon Musk's appearance on SNL. Dollar was down today, and it is on a sell signal, intermediate term, and a long-term sell signal. With the dollar being down, we expect gold to be up. Well, it was somewhat, but not so you're going to break the bank.
Certainly keeping those indicators looking positive.
Right. Gold miners, they got to the top of the channel just like gold did, if you recall. And so I would expect some correction to go on here. All these indicators are in the overbought range. Crude oil, more or less, it's been flat for a week and a half anyway. And bonds down today.
Yeah, kind of a snoozer.
Something I've been keeping an eye on is the 10-year yield. It was up considerably today, 1.5%. It's in this downward channel, which is basically still looking like a flag, unless it gets too long. But we've got this rising trend line up here, and these are starting to intersect. So we might get one more shot up this way, another down, and this is all speculation, of course. But again, that when they come together, that's going to be a stronger area of support.
Absolutely.
Okay, what have I forgotten? Is it time to turn it back over to you?
I think so.
You know, one other thing, just we
Uh-huh.
had a question on our last show. Somebody put up on in the questionnaire. Uh, if the market's going down, how far is it going to decline? The
Yes.
answer is nobody knows.
I got
Right.
asked the same thing in the trading room.
Right. It's just, I mean, it's due for a really huge correction, but it's different this time. We've got outside the box, we've got the Fed just pouring money, Fed and Congress pouring money into the economy, which to me is going to have a sad ending eventually. So with that,
Yeah, I mean, I think we can both agree. I mean, the market does look toppy here. I mean, granted, we've made some new all-time highs, but it's just been, I'm trying to use the word that you usually do. It's I can't remember, but it's acting toppy. We know that it's getting ready to top. I mean, it needs to. And as I said in the trading room, I mean, we just really don't know to the extent of what the decline could be, but mainly it's just we need to be on our toes. I'm not saying pull everything out of the market. You need to be a little bit more selective about where you go. And to that end,
yeah, my opinion, we're headed for the worst in history, and I don't know when or how, but to me, everything Congress is doing and the Fed is it's just completely wrong. It's just making things worse, and it just
yeah.
the more extreme the upside, the more extreme the downside will be.
Exactly. So it's just a matter of being prepared as best we
That's
can,
it.
which is
Yeah,
why we show these charts, right?
exactly.
So UNG, I've been getting a lot of questions about that in the trading rooms. We've been covering it now for a couple weeks here on the DecisionPoint show. And, we got the last buy signal that came out for DP Diamonds was right about here. And the stop level was set kind of deep, but it was at the bottom of the double bottom. Well, we got the execution on the breakout. The double bottom pretty much came to its minimum upside target right here. And you can see that UNG is now really struggling to push past this area of resistance and as well the 200-day EMA. Now on the bull side, if you want to look at it, we could be looking at sort of a flag type of formation. We had a big move up, it needs to consolidate. But honestly, I'm getting concerned because it's taking so long to consolidate right now. And the RSI is still positive here, but we can see that PMO turning over. And as you mentioned, when we were looking at some of those stocks earlier, that you do have that opportunity when we start to see this PMO turning over, it might be a good time to move to the sideline on that position. So at this point, I do, full disclosure, own UNG, but I've got a very, very tight stop. I think I'm at about $10.40 right now as a stop. So it almost triggered today. So I suspect I'm going to be moving out of it soon. So if I'm going to be, I have to let everybody know, hey, I don't like the UNG anymore. So I'm really not happy with the way it's reacting right now. It really has a real toppy look to it, I would say. All right. And you did talk gold miners. I'm just going to talk just a little bit more on it. If I can get to my chart that I had ready here. So you did talk about gold miners and what's going on under the surface, and that there are some problems because we do have a lot of overbought readings here. But I still think, we can disagree now and then. I still think that at this point we have really important and likely somewhat strong support here at that $37 range. You can see it's an area where it likes to bounce or fail. And at this point, we haven't come down to completely test that. The PMO is still rising. The SCI is still rising and just had a positive crossover. So although we have these very overbought readings, as you often say, I mean, you can stay overbought for quite a while. I mean, this was a little bit unusual here where we had that huge run up for GDX, but you can see that those readings can remain overbought, but we don't want to get caught where we were here or back even here where we thought we were getting the breakout and then all of a sudden everything turned south. So
Can you turn on the thumbnail?
yeah, I can turn that on. There we go.
It's easier to see. Yeah, see, it closed on a low today, nearest low today.
Yeah, exactly. That means we've got that tail on the top or a wick to a shooting star candle, which we don't want to see, and could let us know that that $37 range will be tested fairly soon. But the RSI is still positive. I'm not ready to completely let go of gold miners, although my position did get stopped out on this decline, unfortunately. But the 50 is getting ready to cross the 200. As long as gold is going to hold up, I think that will help. But again, the gold miners are companies, and if the rest of the market starts to go south, companies start to get hurt. Even if gold's going up, gold miners could take a hit when that does happen. So those were those two, and now I'm going to look at the energy stocks that I presented last week as diamonds. 4 of them had some pullbacks going on, and I wanted to show where we were, why we picked them. And I'm going to start with Magellan Midstream Partners, and this one's a full disclosure. I do own this one. And we picked it on the breakout here. Now, interestingly, when this was picked as a diamond, it went through, it was adjusted. And so it's a little bit wonky in that it was adjusted, but ultimately we did pick it somewhere in this area right here. And so now we're seeing the move up, but as you can see, like we were talking about with GDX, it pulled way back off of that intraday high. So a lot of these you're going to see they're still on a really nice, strong rising trend. The PMO still looks great, but the RSIs are getting overbought. And so it's time for a little consolidation, and today just a little bit down. But if we can stay up here, maybe consolidate, that will bring that RSI back down into positive territory. We won't be looking at such overbought readings. You can see under the surface the...
Two things. This is a pipeline company, and look at that yield.
Yep. And if you see the big yield, I was clued in that you should look over here and make sure there aren't negative numbers for PE and earnings per share, because you might see a nice yield, but then if you see that there's problems fundamentally under the surface, that could be a problem. But most of these pipelines, the exploration and production stocks, all of these still look really good, and they have really excellent yields. So
actually, another thing, the earnings should be bigger than the dividend, which in this case is not the case. But I don't know anything about this company in particular, but it being a pipeline company, I think they probably have that dividend in the pipeline.
Yes. Well, you can see they're pretty regular.
Yes.
So, but yeah, the performance still looks good. We're seeing a little bit of underperformance now in this thumbnail against the industry group itself, but come on, it's doing really well against the S&P. So I do still like this one. Not much damage, and it didn't take a huge move to the upside today, so that's helpful. This was a really good pullback today on Talos Energy. And again, now we have these big wicks, we closed near the bottom, but like I said, I think that this is offering us some really interesting opportunities for entries in these energy stocks that are showing, really nice performance. And again, you can see the industry group doing well, and we've got performance against the S&P doing quite well. So starting to trend upward a little bit as far as its performance against its industry group. But overall, PMO buy signal, RSI is still positive. and exploration and production, definitely an area that I'm watching. PBF Energy is another one. And again, it's one of those things, we had these huge intraday moves to the upside and then we're closing near the lows. And that tells you that, okay, we're either getting ready to have some consolidation here, but mainly just getting that pullback toward that 5-day EMA, I think is really constructive. You've still got a PMO buy signal and it's still rising. And in this case, we don't have overbought conditions. So a big 2.35% decline today for PBF, but that can offer you an entry. And as you can see, our entry as far as diamonds were concerned is right about at this particular number. So I think that this one still looks good. We're seeing a little bit of problems against its industry group, which makes sense with that big pullback today that it would start to show some underperformance against the group. Suncor is another one. This one does have a pretty decent yield on it. And this is an integrated oil and gas. All of these that are related to gas, oil, production, pipelines. I think, we're in a good position for these stocks. We already know gas prices are rising. We already know fossil fuels are under pressure. Now, as Carl mentioned at the beginning of the program, we had the hacking of the one pipeline. So there are a lot of things going on that are not adverse, they're adverse to our pocketbook, but certainly not to our stock portfolio if you're going to see oil and gas prices rising. So here's another one with the pullback. It still hasn't pulled back to where we picked it for diamonds, but it's, again, another one of these where we're getting that nice pullback. And, I think that this area still looks pretty good. You've still got the OBV is rising here. We didn't get that much negative volume on today's pullback. And again, you can see really strong outperformance going on here. And then add to that, we have a really great StockCharts technical rank here for Suncor. And that tells you that if it's above 75, that among its peers, it's in the top quartile. So we know that not only does it have internal strength, which gives it a really good StockCharts technical number, but when you compare it amongst all of the others, numbers, their other readings, it's in that top quartile. And in this case, it's actually in the top, 5-10%. So you got to like the looks of that. So trying to pick a diamond this week, I really like all 4 of these for diamonds of the week. I think that really this is an area of the market that there's still a lot of opportunity, and getting those pullbacks, I think, is excellent. I mean, we can just look really quickly. I have about a minute. And we can just look at the sector summary very quickly. And if you go to the RRG, which is one thing I learned from Julius, it's a great way to see the rotation as far as the sectors. And this is the really short-term view. You can see that XLE, XLF is still a great place in the market right now. Banks are really taking off again, and materials, industrials. These are the 4 areas where I would be concentrating right now in the shorter term. Certainly XLP isn't, but I would be going where the strength is right now. And that's pretty much all we have for our DecisionPoint show today. For Carl and I, I'm wishing you happy trading. See you next week.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.